Welcome to the Glam and Grind podcast. I'm your host, Rach.
And I'm your host, Julz.
We're going to talk about all things glam
and grind.
Hey guys, welcome to the Glam and Grind with Rach and Julz. We're so excited to have you here today. Today's topic is actually going to be rise from the grind.
I'm Rach, and I want to tell you guys a little bit about who I am and who I help and get to know you guys a little bit more. So I am a multi-site childcare owner, and I help other childcare owners and leaders scale their businesses and go to the next level by putting in systems of accountability and boosting their culture to have a playful culture in their company so that they can have freedom of time, freedom of wealth, and freedom of joy in their life, because that's something that I didn't have for the longest time. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And I have 4 kids.
Yes. And you're a mom. So that's
yes.
So I'm Julz, the other half of Glam and Grind. I say that Rachel is the glam, and I'm the grind. So here we are, glam and grinding it this morning. Anyhow, I'm going to do a quick intro of myself. I was a multi-site business owner who scaled for legacy wealth. And basically, I sold to private equity twice, once in Canada, once in the US. And now I want to help business owners, mainly mompreneurs, do the same thing. And so basically what I loved to do, or what I want to do, is help high net wealth business owners scale for platform growth or growth in their business, and then exit for legacy or what we call generational wealth.
All right. And today we're going to be talking about the rise from the grind. And the reason why we chose this topic to talk to you guys about today is because we have this seemingly glamorous life, and people see us on social media, and people that follow us see all the glam, and they see all the fun things we do with our families and the trips we take and all the different things that we get to do. And they think, how did they get there? And so we wanted to talk a little bit about our struggles today and how we got to here where we are. So the grind that we had to go through and how we got to this level to where we can have both the balance of the glam and the grind now.
Yeah. And so, Rach, I forgot to mention earlier, but really our whole purpose of the community, in which you kind of mentioned a little bit too, but was helping moms, obviously, regain some freedom in their life, but also to level up, right? We want them to level up financially through their wealth. We want them to be healthy and feel good about themselves and take care of themselves so we can take care of our family and take care of our businesses. And then finally, just to level up with your circle of friends. So it is a hard journey, right? I mean, both of us had all those struggles. And so today we're going to quickly talk about 3 of those challenges, or 3 of our main challenges, which are financial, people, and strategy. Those are the 3 things that we, sort of spoke about and said, hey, these are the things that we need to help other mompreneurs or other entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs with. So the first one, if you want to talk a little bit about the financial struggles or challenges we've had, Rach, you can start with something that you felt that will help these mompreneurs listening today, or these new entrepreneurs, or even seasoned entrepreneurs, with some solutions for these challenges that we've encountered.
Yeah. So when I started, I had no idea. I didn't even keep receipts. I didn't keep invoices. I had no idea what financial anything for running a business. My husband's paycheck from his job at the time had to float payroll at times because I couldn't even pay payroll. And so I had to figure out the hard way, because I didn't have a community at the time. I didn't have mentors or coaches or anything. I had to figure out the hard and long way, how to manage my books, how to put the right people in the right place, how to have different mentors to reach out to know what to do. And also funding. As you grow, you're going to run out of money. And, I was always taught the Dave Ramsey way, which is pay everything off. And, that's not how you run a business. So we're going to talk about the difference between that. Yes. And how cash flow is king, and how do I manage my cash flow so that we can keep growing? How do I leverage what I have and also get the right investments involved, get the right loans, get the right people, and how that is going to help you keep growing and going to the next level. So that's all things that I had to learn the hard way, and took me many, many years. It took probably 10 years for me to get to that level, because, and now the second time I was able to scale in less than 3. So it's just a lot faster the more that you learn things, the people that you learn from and listen to them, and the tools and resources that they provide you. So that's all stuff I had to learn the hard way. And it could have put me out of business if I would have been going on the same path that I was going on, because it was a path to financial destruction, honestly.
Absolutely. I think that, as Rachel said, when I started my business, obviously we had zero money. I had a loan for $25,000 at 19% from basically a loan shark, which I didn't even know was a loan shark at the time. So just telling you where we've come from was a really sort of modest early learning beginnings. The first businesses took me 10 years to scale and grow. The second took me less than 3, and I sold for double the price. So it really does make a difference on who you surround yourself with, what financial knowledge. Who you are today isn't who you need to be tomorrow in your business, right? So who I was when I started my schools in the basement of the church, $1,500 rent seemed like an enormous take on at that time, right? And so who I was then absolutely, had to learn all of those tips, tricks. It took so long. I made so many mistakes. I wasted so much money and so much time, where when you have the right people and the right strategies and the right finance advice, it really does help you level up so much quicker. So what we're here today to let you know is, like, even Rachel, our relationship, this podcast, everything started because we had a connection in a business world that we were like, hey, we can help each other, right? Rachel was super strong in leadership and people and all the skills. And I had the financial knowledge of already sort of being ahead of her in that scaling business in terms of the finance portion. And so I think it's really important that you couple yourselves with people that can help you on the journey, that have things that you need. Right now in business, it's not about you. When we start, we're very solopreneur focused. And so we have to do everything, right? Changing your mindset to be able to find the who's in your life that you need is so important. And so we're continually trying to find our who's as well, right? And so in terms of finances, I would say absolutely a lot of growth has had to come from mistakes on our part. So why we started this community is we want to help you avoid all that. We want to compress the timelines, create financial success sooner, quicker, and without the pain that we basically had to endure. So our second challenge today is going to be people. And so Rachel, you can start with that, and then I can chime in on some examples as well.
I just think it's funny that we have the exact same story, and we didn't even know this before. But I mean, the fact that it took me 10 years and then 3 years, and the fact that I started in the basement, my first rent was $700 a month. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to afford to pay $700 a month for rent. But anyways, just learning all those different things too, just closing out the financial, one thing that I had to learn on my own and the hard way was how to renegotiate leases and how to read the leases to make sure that I wasn't getting swindled, and all of that helps with the cash flow too as you grow. Yeah, with people, that's where I had to go from this solopreneur, like Julie said. I was doing everything. I was the cook. I was the teacher. At one point in my business, I was a teacher in 2 schools. I owned 2 schools at the time. I was a teacher in 2 schools, a director in 2 schools, and an owner. I cooked on a couple of days a week. I mean, it was insane. And I wasn't
the same. I was the same. I was like in the basement of the church. I was the teacher. I actually pulled my poor cousin Dana, who, if she's listening to this, I owe everything to, because she was like, okay, I'll help. I literally was the teacher, the accountant, the cook, the janitor. We were setting up the business every day. So we had to pull the shelves in and out for all the classrooms and the entire setup, because at night the church used it for brownies and karate. And so can you imagine, like, from just, being that everything, right? Going to now, when you go from 1 to 2 locations, right? Or 1 to 2 businesses, how you are you have to be split, right? Like you're a teacher at two places, like one in the morning, one in the afternoon. It's like, it's the challenge, right, of being everything all the time and going from solopreneurship to having key relationships with people that, you'll be able to use to help you and help them grow as well. But yeah, so it's just interesting how so similar that, we started with being the whole solopreneur act, right?
Yeah, and one of the things in this industry specifically is that we're so people heavy and people relationship dependent. And so one of the hardest things when I did scale to that next level, to where, I mean, even getting out of the classroom was hard for me, but then getting to the level where I was out of the director role was really hard because everybody wanted me. And so I was the face. I was who they expected. And when I coach people to get to that next level, that's one of the first things that we have to go through. It's not only the how, but it's the emotional piece that you have to work through to get yourself to that next level, and how you're going to empower your team. And you're training them to be you, but also to take your vision to the next level, and it makes them feel so much better as a leader within your team. So that's something that, I help people get to that next level, but I had to figure that out on my own. I didn't know how to do that. I had to figure out how to trust people with my baby, and how to trust that they're going to take it to that next level. And I didn't know how to do that. And I failed many, many times at it because I didn't have the systems of accountability in place to
Well,
make
and also,
sure.
yeah, and Rachel, like, think back to when we were starting, right? We didn't even have the ability to be a leader, right? Like, I think often of the mistakes I made as a leader, like, if I could go back and fix those mistakes, or not have had to have those types of mistakes happen, would have been instrumental to me. Because yourself as a leader, you have to go through so many physical, mental uh, changes to become the leader that you need to be. Oftentimes it's through mistakes, because I didn't have mentorship. 20 years ago, mentorship wasn't even a thing. I mean, like, if you called somebody in your same industry, could you imagine? They would be like, oh my gosh, phone closed,
Yeah,
done.
no.
So there was no way to, like, reach out to anybody. I did have like a chamber of commerce, which we called it in Canada, that I went to just for some, like, business advice, but it was like how to open your business, how to get an EIN number, like, how to open a bank account. Literally, I had no idea I needed an LLC. Like, I had all this liability, all these kids in my care, what insurance you need, right? All the things. And so also that changes as you grow and as you scale. We talked about, the percentage that you can sustainably grow is a calculation. Who knew that? I was like, okay, looks like I have money in my bank account. Next step, right? That first 10 years was on hunch, intuition, entrepreneurial grit and grind, but it was not based on actual facts or datas or processes or anything like that. I mean, and so I think, knowing what I know now, I could have, obviously been super quick at that. Obviously, the second exit was a proof of that. But in
Yeah.
the beginning, like, when you're talking about sustainable growth, CCC, like cash cycles, cash strategies, cash flow, I was like, man, there's bank account, there's money in my account, and I don't have to use Bo's check this week. Yay. Like, that's literally how it started, and where you're more like strategically planning, right? And we'll talk about strategy in a little bit, but I wanted to mention one thing in the people section. So this is also how Rachel and I think. Rachel's very people focused in the business. When I think of people, I also think of the team we need outside of our business, right? Like, we need a strong CPA. I needed a tax strategist. I didn't know that I needed a tax strategist. I needed a really great lawyer who could review those documents for us, be on hand when I had an opportunity, for a purchase or an acquisition, how to write an LOI so I wasn't using a lawyer every minute, like all of these pieces, right? Now that I know all those things, it's much quicker, much easier. But in the beginning, I really needed that team and that guidance and that counseling for all of those pieces. Financially, which obviously was the CPA, the relationships with developers in my area, right? Like, all of these things that I was like, what do we need all that for? But, well, a developer is the first reason why I actually was able to buy my own building. And the strategies we used to buy our own building, that was basically a business fractional ownership, which I didn't even know what that was, right, when we started. So all of these things that we have access to now, the right people, the right teams, our people that we have that we're using, the access to those types of people are just the catalyst or the conduit of success, right? And which we had to learn to also build that bench outside of our business. Rachel, you are incredible about building that inside bench, and now you have that outside bench as well. But in the beginning, we're just trying to build our business ground up, right? We're trying to create this solid foundation with the right people who have the right mindset. And we want the people that believe in our mission, vision, and values. But we do need that outside bench as well, to be able to scale and grow and really have impact on our revenue. So yeah, I think that those challenges and the solutions that we provided for financial and for people, are really what we needed to grow to that next level.
Yeah, and I think having the bench, it's like what Julie said. You have your bench, your business bench, basically, and that's your mentors, your coaches, your bank, your SBDC, all these people. They're like pivotal partners in your business growth. Your CPA, you have to make sure you have the right CPA. I've had to level up my CPA 3 times because we grew faster than they couldn't meet our needs anymore. So also being able to make those decisions at the right time to where your business and where you want to go, you have to make sure that your bench fits those goals so that you can get there, but also having the bench within your company, like Julie said, so that you have the time to take yourself out, to meet with your outside bench, to really have that growth strategy. Because if you don't, then you're stuck in the day-to-day. And then you're doing this till midnight, which I did for many, 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 many years, so that you have your. Right. Yes, I mean, I still do it, but it's in a different way.
We're both talking about how we didn't sleep last night, got off a plane at like midnight, all the things. But yeah, key relationships and strategy are really the key indicators of success in growth and expansion. And we have all those tools now, right? And so that was when we were missing those folks and that team and that bench, it was all of us, right? So strategy is super important. Execution of strategy, taking action at the right times. I mean, these are all pieces that we had to learn, right? Obviously, from sometimes really expensive mistakes, like, either hiring bench too soon, hiring bench too late, meaning inside or outside, right? Outside,
hiring the wrong bench.
Hiring the wrong bench, or hiring what you thought was the right bench, not measuring on KPIs, not measuring on skill level, not measuring on do they get it? Do they want it? Can they do it? I mean, we started implementing EOS, we started implementing traction. We also took that and we redefined and modified for our industry all the things that we needed to be successful. Okay, this is the part that I can't stand, when people in the community are like, oh, you can work on your business, not in your business. Yes, I get that. But if you don't have the right processes, the right strategy, and the right people in place, that is not going to happen. You're going to lose your business. And I get people weekly that come to me because they are in that situation now where they have no money, their people are leaving, and they're a mess because they took their eyes off their business for too long. So you have to be very careful when people say, oh, you can work on your business, not in your business. If you don't know your business, you're in trouble. Like, if you don't know what's happening in your business on a weekly, or at least reviewing those financials and all of those key processes monthly, you can find yourself in a huge amount of trouble. And unfortunately, I've had to help a lot of folks in that situation. So, just keep an eye on your business, whether that is just touching base with your team weekly or whatever it is. Know the 3 or 4 things that you need in your business, right? Know the revenue coming in, know the expenses, know the people, make sure you have an eye on those things. So yeah, I don't want to get too much into this because we'll talk more about it later, but I think strategy, execution, and people and financial are the main things that you really need to focus on in a business.
Yeah. So working on a business, I work with a lot of people with that same exact issue, Julie, and they come to me or they want to sell their business to me because I'm in the growth phase. So I'm buying businesses and they're like, here, I want to sell my business. It's this great business, but here's my financials. And they're completely terrible. The business is failing or whatever's happening. And it's because they said they were working on their business, but what really happened is that they checked out.
Yeah.
So they left their business to their team to run. They didn't give them the tools and the resources that they need. They didn't give them the leadership and the support that they need. The teams weren't built up the way that they should have been. They didn't have the top bench. They didn't have access to the top outside bench like we were talking about. That might be something that just the owner has access to,
Right.
but they left their team to run their business without all of the tools and resources that they needed. So now
it's a daily grind, Rachel. It's a daily grind. I get these financials, even from business owners like yourselves. They come to me and they're like, hey, Julie, I want to buy this business. Can you take a look at this for me? And I look at it and I can analyze business financials, as you know, in like lickety split time, because I know what I'm looking for now. I know exactly what we need. And if they're a mess, like they're not only the financials are a mess, but you can tell by the financials that the company isn't being run correctly. Like no one is keeping an eye on those CCC cycles or the cash strategies or the cash flow. Like people come to me and they're like, but it's a profitable business. I'm like, but every month they are not profitable. So if your deliverables are 30 days and your cash is coming in 60 to 90 days, that is not a profitable business and you can't sustain that growth, right? So there's a lot of things we look at, and just having those metrics, like from your point of view, the people metrics, from my point of view, the financial and the strategy metrics, and execution on both of those ends, you really can find yourself in a very challenging situation, especially if you want to level up.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we think the last thing that we want to tell you about today and for our rise from the grind is strategy. And that's I think the most important piece, Julie, don't you think?
Yeah.
And it's something that when I started, I didn't even know what strategy was, y'all. When I started my business, I thought it was just this fancy word that, big wigs and CEOs and whatever talked about. I didn't know what that meant or how to do it. And so I was just every day, it was day in and day out surviving. Like, do I have money in my account today? I didn't even know if I had money in my account today, to be honest, because I never checked. So it was just, can I make payroll? Can I, what? I didn't know what growth looked like. We had a wait list forever. So we just had a mile long wait list. And we just kept expanding and kept buying businesses and buildings and whatever, just to keep meeting the needs of the community. But I didn't know what I was doing or why I was doing it. And
Same.
my team absolutely didn't know.
Yep. We started the same. Our community was begging for the services we were offering, right? And the exceptional product we were giving the children and the families. And it just kept being like, we need more. Hey, Julie, why don't you open here? Hey, Julz, why don't you open over here? Hey, we need a TCH over here. So I was just growing by need, right? I had no idea about the benchmarks to look for, the percentage of sustainable growth. Like, are you kidding me? I didn't, like you, I would knew the numbers mainly in my head. When people would ask me, I could tell them exactly how much income was coming in. Like I knew all of that because I was just really always thankfully good at that part. But if you asked me like on a percentage of how I was supposed to grow this company or like strategic, we didn't have strategy. We didn't have strategy meetings. My strategy was my gut. I was like, okay, this sounds good. You know what? We have this many people waiting. That means a new school is going to be profitable. Like that was my strategy, right? Or this new business. Guess what? Everybody wants, Montessori toys. Teachers are asking for supplies all the time. Guess what? I'm going to open a retail shop. Like literally all this stuff that we did was based on need, what we felt like people were asking for, and hunch, like entrepreneurial hunch. So it's great, but it also is a concern when you're trying to scale and run a business. I do believe entrepreneurs do have a hunch. I do believe we need to listen to our gut. When our gut is saying something's not right, 1000%, we'll talk about gut and mindset on probably on our next podcast, but the gut is like real, guys. The gut is real. And so I did do a lot of that, but you need more than gut when you're scaling. is what we're trying to say. Like gut is great in the beginning, but then gut doesn't get you, from there to here. Yeah.
Yeah. And learning that strategy, and EOS was a big tool in that for me, and reading traction and figuring out how to do all of that. But learning how to strategize for my own self and my own business as the leader of my company, but also learning how to translate that to my team and bringing them in with that circle and the outside bench, like Julie was saying. Like Julie's absolutely 100% part of my strategy. Like she's the first person that I call when I'm like, help, should I buy this business? Or help, what's next? So having that person, that coach, that mentor that helps you with the strategy at a high, especially when you're like in a high level position, like, all of you are in, I'm sure, to where you want to keep growing and you want to get to that exit, or you want to get to that generational wealth for your family. You have to know, what does that look like in a big way? And it's much bigger than what you think. So learning to 10x versus learning to 2x is a big part of my strategy as well, but teaching that to my team and getting my team on board with that. And that means there's going to be times when we're really, really grinding because we're getting to this next level. But this is what that looks like. This is what that looks like for our company. This is what that looks like for you in your position, and teaching them all of that too, but also teaching the other owners and leaders that I work with, because that's the biggest struggle I see, Julie. It's probably different than when you see with people you coach. Is I get these like owners that are like, yeah, let's do this, and they're super excited, but they can't get their team to come with them, and so it holds them back.
Yes. If you can't get the buy-in of your team, obviously that's a huge hurdle. And also when we're talking about strategy, there's a few things that entrepreneurs need. One is that when you're in your business, you have created a bunch of blind spots, okay, in your business that you cannot see. I don't care. I talk to owners all the time and I'm like, dude, like as soon as I see their financials, I'm like, here, this is what the inefficiencies are. And they're like, oh no, it's working fine. I'm like, no, you're blinded by what you think is working, right? And so when you have that outside, either mentorship or community, they can help you see what you can't see. I was so like, I don't need anybody. I got this. Like, and then when I started to have people come in and strategize with me and help me, I was like, wow, I really need a lot more people than I thought I needed to make this work, So one, entrepreneurs have a problem with focus, right? We have a really big problem with focus. We're all over the map. And I'm sure you see it with your, customers and clients as well, Rachel. Focus, our idea of focus is like you wake up with a new idea every day, right? I'm sure most of you on here can understand that. And you're like, and that idea is going to work, right? So helping focus is a huge part of the strategy. I think strategizing has a few parts in it, but one is definitely focus. Focus on like what matters most right now. What is the thing that you need to focus on right now? And 80% and the 20% rule, I always say, like, focus on what your business is like doing 80% of the time, right? You can mix in some other things, but like your biggest focus needs to be what you're doing, the thing right now, right? And then efficiency, just processes and operating procedures and people that can help your business become more efficient. That is a huge strategy quotient, variable, I guess, in the quotient. So, strategizing and efficiency, making sure that you're streamlining and making sure you have the right people doing the right things, making the most of your resources. And then adaptation. So like you have to be able to adjust, respond, pivot. That's part of your strategy. You need to know what happens if A doesn't work. What are you going to do with B? Your long-term vision, your strategy helps with that long-term vision that sometimes we're short-sighted as entrepreneurs, right? Because we don't have always a longer term vision. I always say I'm forest, bows, trees. I'm looking at like this huge, big vision, but I don't know if I'm actually connecting the short-term vision with the long-term vision, right? And then at the end, it really does give you just competitive advantage to have strategy. It just gives you an edge over the other people around you that are not identifying those unique things or unique approaches that you need to strategize. So I think that's sort of like, I guess my well thought out strategy process has those sort of variables in it. And I know that's a lot for today and I don't want to give over information, but I think those are things that you need to think about as an entrepreneur, because we do go from this solopreneurship where everything is like our decision to then when you need like Rachel to come in and help your bench and get your KPIs in order and get those strategies in place for the people You can get strategies in place for your business, but then your people have to believe in it. Like you're saying, Rachel, if you don't have belief in what you're doing, if the people around you and your circle aren't bought in, your business is only going to go so far. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I think that, what did you say, Julie? The focus. What are the top three things that you just said? Focus.
I said focus, efficiency, adaptation. So like pivoting and your long-term vision. Oh, and your competitive advantage. So I would say those are the things to take away from for strategy today.
I was going to write that on the banner so that everyone can see that.
Focus, efficiency, adaptation, which is basically pivoting or adjusting to change. Long-term vision. Yeah. Sorry.
I think that's what I was going to say is I think probably that's when I had the biggest, that's when I really learned how to strategize and strategize well, was during COVID. That's when for me, it's all of these things. I had to really focus on where the gaps were, how I was going to manage those gaps, and how I was going to, again, translate that to my team, how we as a team could be efficient towards that growth, because we didn't know what was going to happen, right, during COVID. And then the pivoting, the adaptation was huge, because it was like every day, you have to do this policy. No, now this policy. What are we going to do for our parents? What are we going to charge? What are we going to offer as a value for them because they're paying and still not coming? How do we have that competitive advantage to where we stay in business and a bunch of our competitors are going to go out of business? So that is so true what you said, Julie, there about that, because that's exactly how we went from just a regular business to really leveling up and getting to the next level. It's those things. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, those things are sort of what we coach in our program, right? I help entrepreneurs with this strategy breakdown because we just don't know what we don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that I needed all these things, and focus is always really hard for me. So I always put that in there, because although it's not a direct variable to like the equivalency for the end quotient, it's a huge part of it, because our mindset as entrepreneurs, our focus helps determine what our team's mindset and focus is, right? So yes, I think focus, efficiency, adaptation, competitive advantage. Like you said, in COVID, Rachel, I had $100,000 payroll weekly, and I came down, they closed all our schools, and I was like, what am I going to do? I have 387 people on my payroll, and what are we going to do? Like, they literally closed our business. I went downstairs, I locked myself in a bedroom, and I said, Bo, I'm not coming up until I have a solution. So I literally went downstairs, cried for like 20 hours, seriously, like as I was trying to work through this pivot and adaptation. And then I came upstairs and I'm like, we're going to offer emergency care to all, emergency service providers. And we're going to get into a relationship with the state. So again, key relationships. And we're going to offer this, and this is how we're going to pivot. And literally within 3 days, we opened, we re-licensed as emergency care. So again, that pivoting, that adaptation, the ability for you to make decisions quickly and not get stuck in analysis paralysis is huge for entrepreneurs. Anyways, we can talk a lot about this. We are probably close to the time where we need to end, and we have an exciting announcement. So we'll keep you hanging on all those other things that we can get you help with. But Rachel, do you want to announce our secret for today?
We are super excited to announce that we have another secret, and we always come up with these secrets. So this is why y'all have to be hanging around and listening to us. But we are super excited to announce this secret that we've been working on with our PR and marketing team, and we can't wait to bring this to you because it's something that we needed in our lives, and we are excited to bring this to you to help you. We are launching a community, and this is for mompreneurs, entrepreneurs, high-level entrepreneurs and mompreneurs that really want to get to the next level. And we're going to have all of these tips and tricks, and we're going to have meetups and tons of resources, courses. We're going to have workouts, recipes, fashion.
kids stuff. We're going to have so many things, so much more. More importantly, you're going to have sisterhood. Like we lack sisterhood. Well, we did until we start finding all of our entrepreneurial sisters. And even honestly, even if you're not an entrepreneur, you're a woman who wants to level up your health, your wealth, your happiness, feel free to come into our community. We are super inclusive. You will learn about business. You will learn about strategy. You'll learn about wealth and health and happiness. But what we're here for is to create collaboration, sisterhood, and the ability for all of us female entrepreneurs, kick-ass entrepreneurs. We are strong. We are high level. We have high net wealth. Even if we don't have that yet, we're going to. And so we want to make sure that we're putting that out and manifesting that for all of us. But we are a sisterhood. So we're offering this incredible community. It is a paid community because we are offering a lot of our time, a lot of resources. We're going to be doing lives. We're going to be doing really cool meetups around the world. We're going to have so many resources inside of the community.
Special guests, high level special guests.
Special guests, yes. Rachel and I have been giving a lot to the community, and we believe 1000% that our generosity got us here. But for us to continue to do all of this amazing things and bring the people that we need to bring to you, it is a paid community. The first month, we're offering a $79.99 a month program or mentorship, or actually it's called a membership, Julie. So it's a $79.99 membership that includes all of those things in the community. And so the other great thing about the community is there is a, like, it's almost like a Facebook relationship inside the community where you can talk to other members, get advice from other people, not just Rach and I. I mean, obviously Rach and I will be in there. We're going to do lives. We're going to do open Q&As. We're going to help you with things that you need in your life in all those areas. But we also want to create this really tight-knit community that you can go to any member that's doing something in that community and ask them for the help, right? So instead of like trying to find the right people on Facebook or Insta or all these socials and trying to follow 80 million people, everything will come into the community that we find that we think is valuable for you, and also each other, right? We're going to rely on each other for that sisterhood, that friendship, that leveling up, maybe business partnerships, fractional business
masterminds between groups based on your level and where you're going. I mean, it's all of the stuff that we crave as mompreneurs. As we go, we need the people, we need the community, we need to learn from each other. And like Julie said, that collaboration piece, which is so huge. We're going to have courses in there. We're going to have resources that you can download and use over and over and over again. So we're just excited to offer this as a help to all of you.
Yes. And so we wanted to just mention $79.99 for the membership or the community for the first 90 days. So anyone that joins in the first 90 days will get that, what we call our founders discount or founders price, which is $79.99 after 3 months. So starting on April 1st, we are raising that price to $99 a month. So, or $99.99 actually a month. So anybody that gets in the community in the first 3 months will be $79.99, and you'll keep that founders price for the community. Anybody that comes in after that will be subject to increases, after that 3 month mark. So we just wanted to let you know that, one, we're super excited. We have so many amazing guests that are coming into this community already. We have partnered with our social media marketing team who has so much knowledge, who has so many contacts and relationships. We also have partnered with our outside benches to bring really amazing content in. This community will be filled with resources, and it will be filled with resources right from the beginning, but we will be adding resources daily. We'll be adding lives, we'll be adding workshops, we'll be adding all the things. And we're not going to give this information out, guys, outside of this. So our Facebook posts, our socials are all going to kind of be just really scaled down to what the community can use, little nuggets. But right here, this is where all the beef's going to be. This is where all the meat's going to be held. All of Rachel and I's ideas, community outreach and services, and all the things that we're going to do are going to be found in this community with our people. So anyways, we are so excited. If you want to join us, it'll either be in the chat, in the comments, or there'll be a link attached to this. Our social media management people are going to do that. That is not Rachel and I's strong point. So you will find it somewhere. It will also be on glamandgrind.com. So you'll be able to definitely go in, pop in there for the link. This is our first podcast, and obviously we're so excited for so many more awesome episodes to come. We appreciate you as the listeners so much. We can't even tell you. And yeah, I just want to say thanks for tuning in today, and hopefully you got a lot of nuggets just listening in this morning. Rach, I'll let you say goodbye as well, and lots of love from us.
Okay, we have one more tip, and it's something that we're going to end with every single week. So it's important. We just have the reason why we do this is because we want return on life, and that's with health, wealth, and happiness. So every single week, we're going to give you a little tip on health, wealth, and happiness so that you can have your best return on life. And our first health tip is something that Julie and I are doing together. And she's making me do it even when I don't want to. But it's the
airport.
Even at the airport, yeah, even at the hotel, which I'm not usually a hotel workout person, but I did it.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's 30 minutes a day that you are just moving your body and that you're increasing your heart rate, whether it's running, walking, something that you're doing for 30 minutes a day to where you're really getting your heart rate up and closing all your circles if you have your Apple Watch so that you can get those workouts in every day. And then once you do that, you'll be able to develop that habit. And then our wealth tip, Julie, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, our wealth tip is basically just finding the right community, right? And finding the right resources and getting those benches in order. So I would say that was part of most of our conversation on our podcast today. But yeah, just getting the right people in the right community and the resources for your benches in order.
And then our happiness circle is in that same line as well. And it's that we can't, as you grow, you lose all your friends and you lose your circle, and your friends either level up with you, they're either building your empire or they're building it down, or they're breaking it down. So it's super important that you find the right circle, you find the right community again, so that you can have those friendships, because those are vital to your happiness and to your growth. So those are our 3 tips for this week on health, wealth, and happiness. And we look forward to you guys tuning in again next week, and make sure that you subscribe, share, and comment so that we can hear all about you and what you liked about this episode and how we can add to future episodes. And it was great talking with you all today.
Yep, I'm going to add one challenge to the end of this and then we'll say goodbye. But I want each one of you listening today to share this podcast with, if you liked this podcast, please share it with 10 other women that you can help in this space. So if they're high-level entrepreneurs, if they are mompreneurs, if they're moms that are working, grinding, if they're just entrepreneurs starting, whoever you think that this would be an influential tool for them, or whoever you think that this community may help, please help us help others, because impact is going to be through you. Okay. So anyways, just wanted to mention that before we left, and thank you so much. See you later.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in for this episode of Glam and Grind.
Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.